if you are not able to withhold, I don't know what that, or keep your resolutions, there's a why to that.
Yeah.
So being able to not just beat yourself up, but look into the why and really dig in. Maybe, talk to some friends, people who know you well. Explore, write some stuff out, do some research, go see a therapist and have these discussions about, gosh, why it's so hard for me to follow through for myself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Park Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer. Welcome, 32. With all of our marginal sickness.
Some of your.
You don't sound sick at all.
No, I'm not. It's crazy because when I was in the office this past week, I'm sick in the head. Is that why the people who
if you want to draw that conclusion,
the
that's
people
fine.
who are listening to this don't see that you're pointing to your
That's
head.
why they should tune into the YouTubes.
To be saying that I am sick in the head.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Okay, so this is a thing. By the way, today's episode is to resolve or not to resolve.
That is the question.
Okay. It has nothing to do with settling arguments. That's a whole different thing.
Okay. It has to do with resoluting.
Yes, New Year's resolutions, because it is
Yes.
right, being okay, fine.
I know.
But just moments ago, we were talking about getting tongue-tied and how everybody makes fun of Biden for it, but I do it on the regular. So apparently I'm disqualified from being president.
Well, my whole drive here, I'm quoting Dr. Seuss books and saying Sally sold seashells by the seashore so I don't get tongue-tied while we talk.
Whoa,
Just
that
kidding.
was not bad.
I totally don't.
That's pretty good.
But I love tongue twister things. Like, that's why I love Dr. Seuss. I love to read the books and
books like Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
I've finished 10 books this year.
I already have. I'm totally going to make a Dr. Seuss book one of my books this year. We'll talk about that later.
When I was in college group, I was not a student when I was younger.
Okay.
I became a student later in life.
Yes, I would have. Same for me.
I think I've already talked about this maybe on a previous episode, but we were sitting in a Bible study circle, and the smart and heady leader, a guy named Gary Vanderpool, was asking the circle what their favorite book was. And so all these people have these smart things to say. And of course, I had to be a smart aleck because we're keeping it clean.
Yeah.
But my response was that it was my favorite book was Garfield's third book. No one laughed. And the leader, like I would have hoped he would have been like, oh, that's so funny. And then moved on. He did not even bat an eye. He just moved on to the next person. I was like, oh, wait, but can I? And I was like inside of myself going, but can I answer for real? And I don't know that I had a favorite book.
They all just were praying for you silently.
Listen, I know for a factual that when Melanie and I started dating, people were saying like, what is she doing?
They were praying for her at that point.
Absolutely. And apparently I'm still figuring out if it's going to work out.
Okay.
Well,
I think you've already figured that out.
30 years later.
Yeah. Okay, so you're sick. You're a little under the weather.
Yep. Just the boys.
Just like that, I may periodically break out into hacking cough. So.
Okay. Well, if
My
I'm
apologies.
sick the next week, we all know where I got it from.
So that leads into our opening question is, how were the holidays for us?
Yeah. How are your holidays, Chris?
It was a succession of different sicknesses that I'm still just getting over.
So you're still in the holidays.
It felt like my sicknesses, I say sicknesses because I think it was one sickness from talking to everyone and to talking to my Turlock office manager who gave me the illness. Oh. I'm certain.
Okay.
It moved from one thing to the next. And I felt, there were times I felt like, oh, I'm getting better. And then the very next day it would be some new hell that I have to go through. And it was like, what is happening? It's just not going away.
Okay.
So I don't know, but it seems to be getting better now. Everybody seems to be going through it. Like
Except Caroline, apparently.
Except Caroline. What is it?
I take my vitamins. I do a lot of somatic therapy. I don't know.
Wow. I take a hell of vitamin. Well, not really hell of vitamins. I've been taking supplements because I've been back at the gym, even before the new year.
Okay.
Back in the gym, laying off the pies.
No more pies.
It's been.
But you're sick.
Not until potentially later this year.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean,
why
if
I'm
one
not
falls in
sick.
my lap, I'm not going to throw it away.
I'm
Don't get any ideas.
I'm trying. I just said when I got here, I had time to go get cookies. And you're like, don't bring cookies. I won't eat cookies.
I made it about me.
But if I throw a pie at you, you'd eat it.
It's like, I couldn't fight it off. It fell in my mouth. Why, Caroline?
Next episode,
why?
we will be throwing pies in Chris's face so he can eat them.
And then what happened for Christmas is my wife was really sick.
Yeah, that was.
And so she had to. We all went over to my nephew's, and she did not go because she was so sick.
That's so sad.
It was sad.
And she's still getting over hers too.
Oh, we both. Oh no, she's ahead of the game on it.
Good.
That's why I think I had two different things. Because I got one thing, and then I was like, she's not getting it. Oh, that's good. And then she got something, and then I seemed to get something worse.
Man.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. How were your holidays, Caleb?
They were great. Yeah,
Yeah?
I had quite a bit of family visiting from out of town. So my brother's family visiting from Southern California, and then some other extended family visiting from Virginia. So
Wow, very cool.
yeah, lots of good catching up and spending time with family.
Fun. What do you guys do when you're all together, like hanging out at the house?
We play a lot of board games and like party games kind of stuff.
Do any fights
just
break
sit and
out?
talk.
Do any fist fights, Caleb? No.
No, but I typically do have to throw my nieces and nephews around, or my nibblings as I call them.
Nibblings. Now, this was a new word.
Oh, I was Googling this
This
word.
is the first time
That
they've
you-
thought I made something up.
And listen, we were doubtful because he doubts everything we say from the 80s.
Nibbling.
Need I remind you of certs? Anyway.
Nibbling. A child of one sibling, such as a niece or nephew.
Wow.
Such as.
I did not know this was a
I'm
word.
just going to throw out more slang every episode.
Is there an originating date on that word? I mean, I wasn't notified of this word. Shocking.
Hold on, because I was just like, no, there isn't. It's a word to watch.
It sounds like one that would have been coined by Dr. Seuss. or
Oh,
something.
origin of nibbling, coined by U.S. linguist Samuel E. Martin in 1951.
No
Wow.
kidding. I want to invent a word.
Look who's behind the times now.
Yeah, right.
Caleb's
No doubt.
having his moment.
Oh boy. Yeah, right.
Nibbling. I love that word. It's such a cute word. I'm totally gonna use it.
My nibbling. Ooh, nibbling. You sit on that for a while.
Okay.
It might avert you.
I think that I love my nieces and nephews. I love all of them. Like I could just sit in a room and hang out with all of them. And so to call them nibblings would be, I'm just gonna go hang out with my nibblings.
What are the age ranges of your nibblings?
25 down to 17.
Okay, cool.
17 to 25.
Okay, and they're cool.
And they're super cool.
Well, Jordan Peterson has a thing about your kids shouldn't like drive other people crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
my nieces and
they
nephews
need to
don't
have
drive
the
me
social
crazy.
skills to be able to not be annoying to everyone. Which
I mean,
yay.
that's good. They can annoy you to death,
Oh,
but
God.
not other
Yeah,
people, right?
Yes. That's one of the many things my kids have going on is people genuinely enjoy
Oh, I love you hanging out with your kids.
hanging out with my kids. Yes.
Your kids are great.
Well, you know,
And they have good
apple doesn't fall.
you can have good conversations with them.
Tree.
We're just not going to let you finish that. So my holiday.
Yes, what about your
Moving on.
holiday?
Mine were good. My daughter came from
wow.
Oregon, and her husband, who's been in Oklahoma at boot camp, he got 2 weeks of leave.
Good for him.
They met each other here in Cali. So it was just fun.
Is that normal with all the boot camps, or is it just National Guard? that
No,
you get to take a
no,
little
because he's
break?
doing an Army boot camp.
Oh,
so he's with
Army.
all the Army people.
Whoa.
It's not divided, and it was because of the holidays.
Oh,
Any other?
cool.
If he would have done it any other time of year, he would have been there the whole time.
Oh man,
But he got
cheaters.
2 weeks off leave, so that was fun. It was just fun to get to hear how he's doing and spend time
Nice.
with my daughter, and just I don't know. When I have all my kids
Oh,
under the
yeah.
same roof, I sleep so much better.
What?
Yes.
I sleep better when they're gone.
No. Because I know where they're. It's a mom thing. See, you're a dad. I'm a mom.
My
That's
wife,
the
I
difference.
can guarantee you, she sleeps better when they're gone.
Maybe. I know where they're all at. My heart is full and happy, and I'm just so content. I love it when they're all here.
Part of our kids are close too, so they're in and out and do all this stuff, right? And so
mine's
when
not
they
close.
stay with us, we know what time they are in and we know what time they're out. If they're away, then that's their business and we have no idea, and that we sleep better.
Yeah. I don't know. See, so I have two that are always here, obviously, one that's gone. And, my 12-year-old will have slumber parties at his friend's house. My daughter with special needs, she'll spend the night at grandparents on occasion. And I have to lay there in bed and okay, where is everybody at? Okay, this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a mom
thing. You got
thing.
to find yourself, girl.
It's a mom thing.
It's.
They've done studies.
Okay.
Look it up.
We'll leave it at that.
Look it up. All right. To resolve or not to resolve?
What are we talking about?
Or to resolute or not to resolute?
There's raging
grammatically
controversy.
That is, I don't want to be grammatically correct. In the new year, I resolved to not be grammatically correct. So we're talking about resolutions because
hey, it's the new year.
You're supposed to.
Yes.
This time of year.
Do you make resolutions?
I do not.
What's wrong with you?
I
thank you,
value
Caleb.
my sanity.
That's true. Now, I'm curious as to why, because people have very good reasons.
They do.
I'm sure Caroline does too, of why they don't make New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, I've never been a resolution person. Okay, so I should say sometimes we'll do goals.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do a word of the year.
A resolution.
Yeah, I always do a word
now,
of the year.
Now, I've heard of this.
And I love, and so I've done that for probably
Where did
the
that
past
come from?
10 years, I think I've done that.
You're the third person I've talked to who does the word of the year.
Yeah.
Caleb, have you heard of this?
I did a similar thing last year.
Yeah.
You're the fourth person I've talked to who has done the word of the year.
I also don't make resolutions.
All right, air high five because you're
Boom.
sick.
Well,
there we go.
Now you're ganging up on me. I see what's
Wait,
going on.
do you make resolutions?
So I used to say that I don't make resolutions per annum. I make them per diem.
Okay.
Nice.
So
for those of you who don't speak that language, he doesn't make them per year. He makes them per day.
which I don't know how successful that is, by the way. So
Well,
I found.
So I will. Okay, here's my thing. I just don't like how it's a new year, fresh start, make all these promises to yourself.
You don't like
all
that?
these things that you're going to do. And then, at the end of the year, be depressed because you didn't do any of them.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of like the biggest thing is that people make these unrealistic goals or resolutions, or everyone thinks they have to have a fitness one, a diet one. Let's jump on that bandwagon. And
why not?
That is not necessarily, that's going to be more aligned with what society thinks you should do than maybe what you or God thinks you should do.
Wait a second, but we're also very socially driven, so that's not a problem. If you're like, you know what, I look around me and I know that I have to make some changes. And by the way, making change is very biblical. Just saying.
I have no problem with changes. Okay, let's go back to, because you gasped when I said new year, new you, fresh start.
Okay.
God's mercies are new every day.
Absolutely.
Every day is a new
Here comes the argument.
year, fresh start, new you. Right? And so I guess it's just to me, that's the more biblical way. And I'm not saying I'm
we should celebrate
godly
Christmas every
person.
month.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's just something we should just do at the new year because it's what everybody's doing. But that every day is where we're supposed to start afresh.
So I hear that, but at the same time, the new year serves as a symbol of starting over, right? For me, I love the holidays, but I get tired of overindulging. If that makes sense, I get tired of myself because that overindulging doesn't lead to happiness. I've proven that many, many times in my life.
Right.
And so it's okay. And the new year almost gives me a starting line. right?
Okay, but what if you took a day before the holidays and you made that your fresh start and you said, you know what, this year
Then we could call that the new year. It doesn't matter.
I'm not gonna overindulge on the holidays and be miserable like I do every year.
No. I'm not miserable.
New.
That's let me clarify that.
Okay.
It's fun while it lasts.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this has a shelf life, right?
Okay.
And so I know to myself, and then listen, I say this because I'm coming off of like 5 or 6 pies. Not by myself.
Wait, and what about a time you might want 5 or 6 pies this week?
No, over the month of December. Well,
Okay.
actually, since starting Thanksgiving, it was starting at your guys' house with the cherry pie. That was the best cherry pie.
We had
I ever
another one of those cherry pies for my husband's birthday.
Because it was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Everybody
Chris.
loved
Oneth.
it.
The accidental cherry
Wait,
pie.
I was like, it wasn't you. It was the people who made the mistake.
I brought it though.
You did bring it.
There you go. That was me. Thank you very much. So no, but
We'll bow later.
But it started. Wow. It started like around Thanksgiving, and it just the train was rolling until I guess just before New Year's. Well, between Christmas and New Year's, I was pretty sick, so it's like I wasn't indulging
Not from
in
the
anything.
pies, though.
And I was trying to work out, and so I had this weird. I couldn't tell if I had muscle soreness from being sick or muscle soreness from working
that's
out.
the worst.
But anyway, New Year, January 1st, I feel energized.
Okay.
I feel ready and willing to make a few decisions that I've been, maybe being nagged about internally, and thinking to myself, okay, here it starts. And strangely enough, this year I actually started some of my New Year's resolutions in December because I thought, why wait?
That's cool.
And just do you approve of that?
I don't disapprove of anybody making a resolution.
Thanks.
Whenever they make it. This is how
you don't want
see it.
to alienate the millions of listeners who
No,
are on
but
my
I
side.
do think that New Year's resolutions have a bad reputation. They've gotten a bad rap.
Says you. People keep making them.
They do, but then they're so bummed at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a
because
good point.
They grade themselves on this pass or fail, right? So let's get
Bring
down
it
to
in the
this.
table. It's totally.
They grade themselves on a pass or fail. I either did my resolution or I didn't. But in reality, you forget to look at but you've made key improvements maybe in those areas. Maybe you didn't hit it 100%, but all of a sudden it's pass or fail, not, wow, look at the improvements I did make. And I think that's where I get I get not frustrated with people, but hey, let's stop and celebrate what you did do instead of focusing on what you think you did.
So I would say I would tie that into process versus product focus.
Yeah.
We do need to set goals for ourselves. We do need to have something in the offing. But when we do that, for a lot of us, we don't think we can start living life until we reach that goal.
Right.
Or that's the promised land and that's going to be it and it's going to be amazing.
Right.
I think that does us a little bit of a disservice. I think we do need to hold on to that goal I'm getting to that mountain peak over there. But at the same time, being able to super appreciate the process of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you haven't made New Year's resolutions. I have.
Okay. I make goals.
Good. Those are resolutions.
But that's new.
Thank you.
But that's new. So
I've heard about this, by the way.
okay, I know because you had Bible study with my husband this morning.
I speak to.
Get
the source before.
We never do this. We do the word of the year, and I don't even know if we've actually sat down together and done the word of the year last
the word
couple of
this
years.
year is boring.
So I was New Year's Eve, we ended up having. My son went to a friend's house. My daughter goes to bed at 6:30. So I'm hey, it's just 2 of us. I'm hey, I'm pulling out a piece of poster board and some Sharpies.
So it was spontaneous?
It was totally spontaneous. I'm we're going to sit
Holy
down.
Spirit stuff.
We're going to write our words down. We're going to write individual goals and we're going to write
Are you
goals
telling him what to
for
do?
a couple. No, I didn't tell him what his goals were.
Okay.
And
there you
he
go.
is okay. He's okay, so should I go clear out the kitchen table? I'm nope, we're going to sit on the bed and do this.
Okay, good. Don't let the ADD
fun.
take over.
This isn't a business meeting. We're just doing this on this poster board and we're hanging it in our closet. And so we sit down and I can see him getting antsy and I'm writing in different colored Sharpies and squigglies. And he's should we type this out? And I'm dude, we live day to day with spreadsheets. That's your job. I have spreadsheets. We are not. This is fun.
Good.
This is fun.
I love this, Caroline. So you made some resolutions. Good for you.
And so
New Year's resolutions.
we write our words down, and I write my word in a squiggly line under it. And he's like, I'm just letting you know, this is so hard for me because you keep doing squiggly lines and you're writing it in slants because I'm like, I'm having fun.
Oh,
and
gosh.
he's like, it's not all lined up.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And he's like, wait, I don't like that color. Can I use a different color? And I'm
Yeah,
like, you can
that's
use
so
whatever
funny.
color. So we did it. It was fun. We were both happy at the end that we did it. We made small attainable goals. We have some big goals. But it was different. We've never done that. I don't know if we'll ever do it again. We might.
So, so you bring up a very practical consideration.
Yeah.
Like, and this goes into the realm of like how to make, you call them goals. Everybody else in the universe calls them resolutions.
Well, is there a difference?
I don't think so.
So
A New Year's goal.
Yeah. Okay. Let me think on that. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Well, you can think all you want.
No, I just want to. Go ahead.
So how are you? Okay, so the practical end of this is, you mentioned earlier about like people make resolutions and then they fail at the resolutions and they let themselves down and then they feel worse, which I actually call neutral talk, right? And we've talked about this in the podcast where you have positive self-talk, you have negative self-talk. And everybody knows what those are, you know?
Yeah.
The neutral self-talk sounds positive, but it has a negative end result.
Yeah.
And it has a negative end result because we say things like, yeah, I've got to do this. I should do this. I need to do this. I need to lose weight, or I need to clean my mess. And we don't do it. Mm-hmm. We don't follow through. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to the hurdles of change and everything else, right? We don't follow through, and then we look at the mess again. We're like, ugh. And the same thing, you're right. The same thing can happen with goals or resolutions that we make for ourselves.
Yeah.
So being able to do ourselves a favor and follow through with some of these resolutions is very important. Mm-hmm. And you can call them anything you want, but they're still resolutions.
Okay, well, there's a difference. So,
guy, he's got the computer on me.
This is why I have my computer. Goals are specific, measurable, and actionable targets with a clear plan.
Fair enough.
Resolutions are broader, more abstract commitments without a detailed action plan.
Okay.
So a goal is a statement of what you want to achieve. A resolution is a statement of what you want to change.
So do any of your goals involve change?
I think everything we do involves change.
Okay, then.
So, like, one of my goals is to read
resolve
6
to
books
make those
this
goals?
year.
Okay.
Those are obviously going to change me.
That's funny because there's a bunch of examples of resolutions and people say, read more books.
Yeah. I did that last year. Like, I think in February. No, maybe in January. I said I was going to read a book a month. And by March or April, I'd only read like 1.5 books, and I threw it all away. I was like, I can't do it. See?
Oh, wow. So you totally trashed the whole thing.
I did because I wasn't attainable.
I think that's a huge thing with resolutions is if we make a resolution and then fail early in the year, we kind of like throw it away.
Right.
Because I heard a great piece of advice from my brother while he was here over the holidays. He said, never fail 2 days in a row. Like if you fail one day, don't let that defeat you and like make you give up.
Solid.
Yeah.
Come back to it the next day.
Do yourself the favor and get back up because you're right. Yeah. In a way, I wonder if we almost use that as an excuse to say, I'm not trying this anymore. So again, back to the practical aspect of making resolutions or goals is that, yes, they should be attainable.
Yeah.
They should be measurable.
Yeah. Think ahead. Right?
Yeah.
Like think ahead of, like, that was stupid for me to say I was going to read a book a month when I'm literally taking college classes right now and I have to read for that. Like, how was I?
Does that count as books?
And I wasn't counting those books.
Those count.
I should have, because then I would have hit my mark. But
listen, like, there's plenty of examples in the Bible of people making types of resolutions. Right? They'll build monuments. They'll build, things to remember, things to go back to, and things to say, okay, this is the rainbow. God saying, look, I resolve never to destroy the earth again.
Yeah.
And so, what's that?
That was a good one.
Yes. Thank you.
I liked that one.
There you go. So it's not out of the pale that it's a human condition to want to make a resolve to change.
Yeah.
And to do better. So again, back to the practical aspect of it is attainable, measurable, sometimes in smaller chunks, right?
Right.
And so one of the things I do is instead of saying, okay, I've got to cut back on this or I got to do this different, I will block out a month and I'll say, okay, I'm not going to do this thing for a month. And I can do a month.
Yeah.
So I have resolved to have a dry January. So no alcohol for the month of January. So if you've got any ideas of having us over and giving us alcohol, then no.
I'm not inviting you over in January. We'll wait till February.
Apparently I'm no fun. But the other thing is to cut out sugar. Okay. So that's why I winced at your idea of bringing Old Time Bakery, and that's why I made it about myself.
You did, because you thought I was bringing it for you, and I was really just bringing it for me.
Exactly. But and so side note, I did have a sip. We had some vodka sitting around the house. I had a sip because I have this thing going on with my throat where I do that in the middle of the night and I wake up. So I took a sip but per Caleb's point, I didn't just say, well, okay.
Yeah.
I might as well. It's 2:00 in the morning. I better pour myself a cocktail. So we can have situations where, okay, even if we stumble or fall off the wagon, it doesn't mean it's obliterated. Because look, let's say I go 2-3 weeks and I have a beer with a friend or something like that, which I'm pretty good at keeping my resolutions and saying, look, listen, if I can't lay off alcohol for a month, I have other problems.
Right.
But if I have a beer, I'm not going to say, well, I'm done now. What I'll do is, what I'll tell myself, and this is how I frame it, is, wow, I went for a month and I had one drink.
Yeah.
So
you see but you're stopping and you're looking at what you did succeed. Yeah, you did succeed.
Oh, sure. And that is
You're
succeeding.
not like, oh, I had one cookie, I totally failed. But a lot of people will see that as...
that's where they need to challenge their way of thinking.
Okay, and also to realize, I like that you pointed this out, like the 1 month, is because a resolution or a goal doesn't have to last the whole year.
Sure.
One of my goals is to graduate this year, which I know I'm doing in March. And so I'm like, great, I'll do that. I know that goal is attainable. It'll be here before
you know it. That's March. That's like 3 months away.
Stop.
January, February.
Good job.
March.
And you did that without alcohol.
March. And then stop. And then you're going to have your bachelor's.
And then I'll have my, in integrative psychology.
And then you're going to sally forth for your master's. No.
And then I'm going to become a certified somatic practitioner.
Oh, wow. It changes every 3 weeks.
No, it's been that for a while.
Nobody's told me about this.
Yes, you and I have actually had a whole conversation, but that's all good.
I was probably drinking heavily.
Apparently, you weren't part of you weren't there for that conversation.
Inebriated. No, I'm just kidding.
Caleb, you said you don't make resolutions. You do. You've done goals. You've done the word. So what is there something you do?
So one thing I did for the first time last year that I intend to do again this year, though I haven't yet, was I wrote myself a letter to my future self.
Nice.
So,
which I haven't read yet either because I want to read it and then write my new one. But just recapping where I'm at in that year.
I love that.
I do too.
What some of my hopes and dreams are for the coming year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still need to look back at that. It kind of surprised me when it came through this year. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did write that last year.
That's
cool. It's kind of like your own little time capsule and picture.
Are you nice to yourself?
Oh yeah, totally.
Do you keep the letters from year to year?
Well, it was, as I said, it was my first year doing it, so I haven't even read it yet, but I'm excited to. I'm just like, it's so special. I want to do it at the right moment.
Can I steal that idea from you? Can I borrow
totally?
That? Can I use
so
that?
I used this website. I think it was Dear Future Me or something like that, where it'll time send you an email. So I recommend that. Yep.
So that way you remember that you wrote it and.
Yeah, so it'll send it to your inbox in the date that you set for it to arrive.
I mean, I sense a therapeutic intervention here, with clients. Cool. So you could actually have them write a letter to their future self about where they want to be. That that is a type of therapy called solution focused, about where they would like to be and what they would like to have and how they'd like their lives to look.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I know, that's very cool.
Gosh.
We're all about
Forget
ideas.
resolutions. We're doing letters. Woohoo! Good job, Caleb.
It's still
Caleb
a resolution.
With the win. It's still
my letter would start off stop being so fat, Chris.
Oh but I like that you asked him is it you're positive to yourself,
yes,
and
that's
I think
very important.
that is so right, because again you were talking about the negative, positive self-talk, and we can be so hey, Next year, do better. Hey,
yeah, what
like,
is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You keep doing this. You do this every time.
Yeah.
And people really need to, and here's something very practical. Like if you are not able to withhold, I don't know what that, or keep your resolutions, there's a why to that.
Yeah.
So being able to not just beat yourself up, but look into the why and really dig in. Maybe, talk to some friends, people who know you well. Explore, write some stuff out, do some research, go see a therapist and have these discussions about, gosh, why it's so hard for me to follow through for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge thing too. I think resolutions are so often focused on the negative of like, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. I want to, and it's not focused on like the positive of like where you want to see yourself.
Yeah.
And then I think so often too with resolutions, we try and do them all on our own rather than seeking like support or guidance or
great point.
Yeah. This is something I work with clients a lot that are searching for motivation, right? We're motivated by what we value.
Yeah.
So
very good.
And my example I always use is I value knowledge. And that motivated me to go back to school and to continue to learn. I don't value a healthy body. So I am not motivated to work out. I don't value muscles. I don't value that at all. So working out one of my goals, I wouldn't attain it.
I see how you and I are so incredibly different.
So yes. So however, I could become motivated by that if I sought to find value in that for myself. So it's to stop and go, where can I find the value in that? How would that be valuable to me? Now let me get motivated to do that.
So some of that, and this is interesting because this sounds like a whole different podcast on motivation and all the stuff which we will talk about. But part of that is also, when it comes to resolutions, is pushing past a certain level of discomfort. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes when we make resolutions, they're to do something different that we don't normally do. And that's not comfortable. All we ever do is all we ever knew, right? And it's just so easy to pass another piece of pie because food feels great, or drink more eggnog, which you wash the pie down with eggnog. I know eggnog. Right? But then at some point being able to say, okay, no, I really want to feel like this. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about muscles, stuff like that, one of my resolutions is to get back to the gym. I want to lose a certain amount of weight. I'm doing things to do that. And I feel absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So let me say, I don't value muscle. I value
what muscles can do.
I do value a healthy body, and I wasn't finding that for myself through working out with weights. I have found that out for myself through somatic exercises, where now I feel like I am the most healthy physically that I've ever been in my entire life.
Good for you.
And so I found that's where I found value, was in that, not in going to the gym.
Sure.
So I am motivated to do somatics.
Interesting. Yeah, totally.
But I'm not motivated to go lift weights.
So in the gym has more than just weights, people.
Or the treadmill.
They have mirrors.
I avoid those at all costs.
That's right. So there are types of resolutions, and of course I've broken them up into personal, relational, and external.
Okay.
So personal, of course, how you want to work on yourself emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. Mm-hmm. Mentally with the books, and physically with the therapy, somatic therapy. I got to remember to keep my face in the mic. Emotional could be, how I interpret things. Excuse me. It comes on in nowhere, people. Spiritual, being able to draw closer to God, to find drive, purpose, meaning, our values, know those values. That's very important. Relational, it's really important to recognize the goals we might have there, or resolutions in that, maybe I want to spend more time connecting to my wife. I cannot have a resolution that involves her doing something.
Right.
I resolve that my wife is going to be nicer to me. That's on me, man.
Right.
I better stop doing things where she's not nice to me. No, she's very nice to me. And external might be resolutions about our environment, or about even our relationship to the world around us, and being able to have autonomy and agency over our space. so that we have a good relationship with the things God has given us.
Yeah.
It's
that's
true.
Good. So I think to sum this all up,
Are we there yet? Are we summing?
we're getting close.
Oh, very close. Dangerously close?
Dangerously close.
Okay.
Is there's really no right or wrong way to do this.
Absolutely.
And it's okay if you don't do it at all. There is no like law that says you have to have resolutions or goals at the beginning of the year. Should we have resolutions and goals in our life? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do we have to do them January 1st? No.
I'll start in 2030.
Great. My goal is to start writing resolutions in 2030. But also, I think for a lot of people, not a lot of people, let me rephrase that. I think that for some of us, and I'll throw myself in there, is your goal or your resolution can all of a sudden become an idol in your life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Anything that's meant for good can become an idol. So all of a sudden it's, oh man, I can't make it to church, or I'm not in my quiet time because I've resoluted. I'm just
okay.
Using it in different forms. I resoluted to go to the gym every morning, and I got to do that before I have time to read my Bible, or spend time with God, or just whatever it is. And so I think it's just to remember to keep yourself in check with that.
So that's interesting. So this is side note. When you said that, it reminded me. This morning, I woke up at 3:30 and I was coughing periodically, so I was not getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, you know what? Because I'm on this workout kick, I said, if I'm still awake at 4:15, I'm just going to get up and go to the gym. So I did.
Wow.
It was
and
awesome.
then you went to Bible study.
And then I went to Bible study.
Nice job.
I know. I got it all done.
Where you infected everybody with your cold.
No, I'm on the tail end. And my buddy was like, you mean you got up earlier than Bible study? Bible study starts at 6. And he was like, you mean you... Yeah.
That's funny because my Chris got up early this morning before Bible study. And I was like, oh my gosh, is he going to the gym before he goes to Bible study? He had work to do. Poor guy.
Oh.
I know. He couldn't go to the gym.
Oh, well.
You guys are weird getting up early.
Feels awesome. So I will resolve to continue to be awesome.
Okay. Good job. I will hold you accountable to that.
Chris, you're not being awesome.
Caleb, any last thoughts on to resolve or not to resolve?
Yeah, I think another thing I was thinking is when we see it as only the beginning of the new year as a chance to make new goals or resolutions, then when I think there's a stat where I heard recently where 40% of people make resolutions and then 15% of them, of that 40%, carry them on through February.
Okay.
February.
Wow. February.
Just February.
Oh, man.
I think some don't make it past
so
January.
If you make it to
10th.
March, you're elite.
But if we see the New Year is the only time we do that, then all those that have failed have to wait until the total next year to even get back on the bandwagon.
Oh, no. And gyms know this full well, and they are the busiest. In the beginning of the year.
When I did go to the gym, I avoided the gym in January.
Oh, totally.
Because it's so busy. And I'm like, February 1st, it'll be dead again.
That's why I start in December, so it doesn't seem like I'm just there for January. So I'm like a veteran. Like, hey, man, I'm totally comfortable. Get off that machine. It's my turn.
So I think a huge thing is giving ourselves grace if we fail.
Yeah.
Realizing if we need to reassess what our goals and resolutions are, if we've made them unattainable, find a way to kind of alter them to make them doable and something that you can handle, and find people around you to help keep you accountable and speak into your life and why you struggle with these things, motivate you, different things like that.
I think that's a great point that you hit, was to alter them. I think every month, every week, if need be, reassess your goals and your resolutions. What do I need to change? What, I made this too big. How do I need to make it smaller? Make it attainable. Reassess it. It might look different every month. You might do dry January, but you might be like, February, I have 10 weddings to go to. That's not going to work. But in March, I'm going to do a dry March. I mean, you just
well, and don't be so, to your point earlier, Caleb, don't be so black and white about it.
Yeah.
If you stumble, don't be like, okay, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Be like, no, and I keep telling this to my clients, do yourself the favor. Do this for yourself. It's a good thing. And it's not being selfish and saying, well, no, I'm going to get mine. It's saying, look, God has given me these convictions. He's given me this body. These are things that when I take care of them, there's much joy in my life because of it. Yeah. And man, God wants to love you like that.
Yep. Yep, that is true.
Amen.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully we helped you answer your question if you're going to resolve or not resolve. We're not what was the word I used?
Resoluting.
We're not resoluting. We will not resolute. We will resolve. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.